we've lost so much of what made wrestling great that it's almost to the point now that it's almost an unnoticeable, an undiscernible product to what we started watching. I've told people on this show so many times that if I didn't have a wall that stretches probably 18, 20 feet, floor to ceiling, of just a wrestling DVD collection that I could go to and watch this stuff and remind myself why I bother, if I didn't have that, I probably would have given up a long time ago.
Well, it's great that you bring that up because the WWE 24/7 Classics on Demand does great. All the old school DVDs that they put out, whether it's the History of the Heart Foundation, or the Tag Team DVD, Ricky Steamboat, Hulk Hogan, Macho Man Savage DVD, their DVD sales do great because there still is, I don't want to say there's a clamoring for old school wrestling. I don't want to label it as old school wrestling, but it's the only way to do wrestling right. Good versus evil, two guys in the ring fighting over a championship. It should be that simple. When people go to attend a wrestling event, whether it's Raw or SmackDown or IWF show or local independent wrestling show, or if we go to a heavy metal concert, or we go to Broadway, or we go to see a comedian, we don't go there to think. We go there to be entertained. Why, in God's name, does the WWE have a women's championship and then a divas championship? What's the difference? I'm confused. I don't get it. Now, wait a minute. There were WWE Tag Team Champions, but then there were World Tag Team Champions. Now they're Unified Tag Team Champions. It's confusing. You can't follow what's going on. Why are there two different championships? Why is what's the World Championship and the WWE Championship? What's the logical reason why there's two different heavyweight champions?
Or what they could do logically, if they wanted to give it any sense of realism, make it, if they're going to pretend that they're two different brands and that they're not intertwined, why don't they make it the Raw Championship, the SmackDown Championship, and the two champions square off at WrestleMania in like the Super Bowl?
Bingo. Why don't they hire you to be on the creative team? No, they got to hire Hollywood writers. Why? Because they have this, Vince McMahon and the people, they have this fixation to fit in with the Hollywood crowd. I mean, that's what it's all about. They want to be accepted, like, as being, like, real mainstream, like, Hollywood producers. You know, just, like, I don't understand. It's professional wrestling. We get it. It's supposed to be hokey and campy. That's why we love it. But I just don't understand what they do. Yeah, fine. Raw Heavyweight Champion, SmackDown Heavyweight Champion. Raw Tag Team Champions, SmackDown Tag Team Champions. Raw Women's Champion, SmackDown Women's Champion. I get it. It's easy to follow. You could explain it to an 8-year-old or an 80-year-old. You need a schematic, an etch-a-sketch, and a scorecard to figure out what's going on with these shows. Not to mention TNA, where, 3 weeks ago or 3 months ago, Abyss was coming out wearing yellow and red. Wait a minute. Now he's a heel again? I don't understand. 2 weeks ago, Kennedy's a heel. 3 weeks later, he's a babyface. Well, you can't follow what's going on. And then this group that Ric Flair has, what's the name of his group?
Fortune.
Right,
yeah.
and they hold up 4 fingers. But how many people are in the group? Isn't there like 6, 7 people?
6 or 7, yes. It depends if you count Flair.
Don't they understand that this comes off looking idiotic?
Well, that's my problem with it. It's like, we're going to call it the Four Horsemen, but if you go straight back to the actual promo that Flair cut where he was, bring it back, the Four Horsemen, but we're not going to call it the Four Horsemen. We're going to call it Fortune. And he talked to 4 different guys, but the same guys that he talked to all ultimately became the guys he brought in the group. But in that promo, he told them they were all pieces of shit compared to the original Horsemen.
Well,
so I didn't quite get it.
He's right, but he still shouldn't say that because he's just burying his own guys that he's out there bringing out. But you know what? Professional wrestling, the wheels have come off. It's just, it really is just, totally embarrassing, which is why, the guys and girls that we have here at the wrestling school that are busting their ass. I mean, I practically, every session here at the wrestling school tell them, don't watch Raw, don't watch SmackDown, don't watch TNA. You're going to be brain dead if you watch that stuff too long. And even the WWE and the trainers that they have at Florida Championship Wrestling, they have top-notch trainers. Unfortunately, their mandate is to train the guys the way that they want them, for the style that they do on Raw and SmackDown, which is 2-minute matches, memorize every move in the exact order that takes place, learn how to memorize scripts. And, you know, they basically told Darren Young and Fadi the Arabian Bull, who came from the IWF Wrestling School, when you now go to the WWE, it's a job. This is what you say. This is how you say it. This is where you look. There's no feel anymore to professional wrestling. The guys that stand out now, which are the old school guys that are absolutely fantastic, whether it's Randy Orton, Edge, Chris Jericho, Undertaker, Triple H, Shawn Michaels, who's retired, even Batista, you could see that they were out there. It looked real. It felt real. They had a vibe to their character. They fed off the audience. They had that it factor that you just can't teach, and that's what you need to do for the character to be successful. You know, you can't go out there and have every word scripted in what's supposed to be an athletic competition between two guys in the ring. I mean, it's just, you know, they're trying to script something that needs to be spontaneous in order for it to come off looking believable to the audience. And that's why now, you know, when the WWE tries to recruit wrestlers for Florida Championship Wrestling, instead of, you know, continuing to going to wrestling schools to try to find talent, they're going to the NFL combines and scouting talent. You know, well, this guy, you know, who's trying to make the NFL, who's, you know, 6'9", 300-pound linebacker that gets cut and doesn't make it to an NFL squad, hey, let's turn him into a professional wrestler because he's a big guy. Or they'll sign female fitness models out of a catalog just because
that drives me nuts.
Good. It's ridiculous. These women don't have a love for professional wrestling. Neither do these guys that they're taking from the Indianapolis when they do the football combine in Indianapolis every April. These people don't have a love for professional wrestling. This isn't something that you can't teach to any individual that does not have a lifelong passion of first being a fan, then being a student, wrestling on, you know, different independent shows every weekend, every month, every week, every year. You have to have a love for this. You can't just, you know, teach somebody how to do this. I mean, prime example, look at Great Khali. Well, he's a big, tall guy. Let's make him a professional wrestler. Doesn't work that way. I mean, did the Yankees pick people out of the stands to go and play first base? Well, he looks like a first baseman. Let's put him out on the field. Doesn't work that way. Could you imagine if any real sport or any real job worked?
Hey, if it was that easy, yeah, we all. I mean, I'd get out there and, you know, miss a few fly balls just to get a paycheck. You know, why not?
Hey, there you go. Well, actually, then you'd be on the Mets. See, then the other thing too, you guys brought up Ric Flair. There was no bigger Ric Flair fan than me. I mean, for Christ's sakes, when I was in high school, I used to wear my Ric Flair T-shirt to the school when he was the NWA champion, Four Horsemen, back in the day. Ric Flair has and Hulk Hogan, too. Let's throw him in this, too. They have completely ruined their legacies and embarrassed themselves. I mean, Ric Flair...
You really think that?
Oh, my God. I mean, it's a disaster.
Can I be honest? I felt that way about Flair for almost a decade.
Sure. I mean, it's a joke. I mean, what happened to the Nature Boy? The slick back hair, the limousines, the women, the Rolex watch, the clothes. I mean, like 2 months ago, he was out there wrestling Jay Lethal, and he was stripped down to he was wearing like a G-string in the ring in some no disqualification match. It's sad. The fans during that match turned their back to the ring. That's not what you want the audience to be doing while the show's taking place. It's a joke. I don't understand why he's out there. He's completely ruined his legacy. I mean, now people remember him as being a senile lunatic. And that character that he built up for 30-plus years has been flushed down the toilet. And, you know, it was always like Hulk Hogan was the greatest good guy of all time, and Ric Flair was the greatest villain of all time. And these two had such aura to their legacies, and they've both ruined it. And it's almost like Undertaker and Shawn Michaels have taken their place as the two top guys. You know what I mean? I mean, do you think when Undertaker is 62 or Shawn Michaels when he's 62 is going to come back and do what Hogan or Ric Flair are doing now?
I hope not.
I'm not entirely sure that when Undertaker's 62, he won't be having matches with Kane.
Well, yeah, they are headed in that direction, aren't they? Well, this is only the 12th year they've been feuding. But
another name I'd like to throw into that.
Who else have they developed for Undertaker to wrestle? Nobody. They have nobody. That's why Batista left. If you read the interview, he did an interview with a mixed martial arts magazine or online website about a week or 2 weeks after he legitimately quit the WWE and left. He couldn't take it anymore. He said it in the interview. Wrestling now is not what he grew up watching or why he got into the business, for the love of wrestling, the way it was presented, good versus evil. I mean, he basically ripped the way professional wrestling is presented now. But then the same for Batista and Shawn Michaels. Who else is left for them to wrestle? Who else is there for The Undertaker to wrestle besides Kane? There's nobody. I mean, I don't think people are going to be clamoring for the Undertaker against, Justin Gabriel feud. Who would want to see that? So they have to keep rehashing the same old storyline, so they have him and Kane going at it again.
And another person who I feel is destroying his legacy, and it pains me to say it because I love him to death, and he was my favorite wrestler of all time, but Bret Hart.